What's going on, Internet? IG here again today. Today I'm going to be doing something a little different, and I'm going to experiment with it as a form of video, and that is a smattering of Linux related topics all in a very short and concise video. So we'll call it Linux Tidbits. So basically my idea for this kind of show is to do it on weeks where there isn't a major distribution to review, or there really isn't anything in particular that I want to look at in depth, but I just want to cover a few things that have piqued my interest over the week. So this show is going to feature three things. First of all, it's going to feature news topics. Just a couple that I thought were interesting. It's also going to feature a small distribution that maybe some people know about and some people don't, but I'm not going to be looking at it too much. I'm just going to give it a mention. And finally, a shout out to a channel that I think is interesting as well. So here we go, let's get into it. So on the news side of things, you've got Elementary OS ISIS making an appearance on the interweb recently. There's a couple of videos that were going around that got, pretty popular and very well discussed on various social networks. So I'll definitely throw links to everything that I'm talking about in the description below so you can check them out. But ISIS was demoed on a MacBook, and it was very impressive as far as speed and looks and aesthetics. Granted, Elementary OS ISIS is still heavily in development and it's not really ready for release, although it is rumored that it will come out sometime in Northern Hemisphere's summer of 2014. Don't quote me on that. Obviously, Cassidy or Daniel, you could sort out any questions in the comments below. Obviously, the desktop look hasn't really departed too much from what the Elementary OS team achieved with Luna, but with ISIS they're just looking to step it up a notch with smoothness, the way it looks, the way it functions, and obviously speed is still a big part of what Elementary OS is and what it hopes to be. And with that, we move on to Steam games. Now, Steam is obviously making steps towards supporting more and more games on their Linux platform, specifically SteamOS. Now, SteamOS is not obviously out for full public release. It is still in beta, and they are still working on porting titles over to Linux. So there have been rumors and confirmed releases for very popular games on the SteamOS platform. Now, at this stage, we're not exactly sure if those titles are going to be coming to Linux as a platform or whether they're just going to be marketed for SteamOS specifically, but some of the titles include Tropica 5, XCOM Enemy Unknown, Two Worlds 2, and Counter-Strike Global Offensive, all of which would be very welcome on the Linux platform of SteamOS. It seems like Valve is wanting to create more of a console type experience with their SteamOS rather than marketing it as something for Linux users in general. But nevertheless, what's good for one is good for all in most cases. And from that we move on to Pitivi, the video editor that is on a fundraising campaign at the moment. Pitivi is one of those video editors that I started out using but really didn't have enough features or stability to keep using. But as a video editor and as a video producer, I love the idea of Pitivi becoming a very professional grade video editor for amateurs and professionals alike. So they've got a great plan of what they want to do if they would achieve the sort of funding that they're looking for. So if you're interested with helping that project out, then again, links down below. But they do have a very fascinating game plan, and I highly suggest you check them out if you are a creative professional in any stretch of the imagination. And finally, of course, the news has been buzzing a little bit about Android TV. It's Google's third or fourth foray into Obviously, they've had a few attempts in the past, and actually 90 Seconds on The Verge had a great feature about Google's TV efforts in the past, so I'll link that down below as well. But now obviously they're focusing on Android TV, and basically they're just wanting to serve up content via a digital set-top box to a TV, whether that's movies, games, magazines, TV shows, music, etc. They're basically focusing on a very slick, clean, fast user interface with support for things like notifications and voice input. They're definitely chasing the Roku, the Apple TV, and Amazon's offerings as well. So as always, it'll be interesting to see where that turns up. So that's all the news side of things. Secondly, let's talk about that small random Linux distribution that you may or may not have heard of. Recently, Spatry's Cup of Linux, he's a great YouTube channel if you haven't checked him out already. Most of you probably have and know who he is. He's released his own spin of Manjaro Linux, which is of course his distribution of choice, and quite a few others in the Linux community as well. So if you want to go and check that out, it's a pretty unique spin on XFCE with the Compiz window manager and also and also optional emerald window borders. So it's a pretty interesting release. There's not too many apps pre-installed on it. It's just designed to be a base system, and it is, I've tried it out, it's relatively stable and it looks pretty cool. It's got a nice dark theme going on, and if you followed Spatry for any period of time, you can see the fact that it's set out the way that he would have his desktop. So it's a pretty nice release, and it sounded like the community was pretty happy when he put that out because they've been requesting it for a while apparently. So again, links to Cup of Linux edition of Manjaro Linux down below, and if you like Spatry and what he does, then definitely go and check his channel out and give him some love. And finally, let's talk about YouTubers. There are a lot of them out there, and I'm very grateful to be a part of the YouTube community, especially in the Linux world, because it is pretty small compared to other niches on the internet. So, with all that in mind, I've decided that I might give a few shout-outs to channels that have piqued my interest over the years. So today I'm going to give a quick shout-out to the YouTuber known as Oh Hey It's Lou. He does quite a few Ubuntu-based tutorials and other Linux stuff, and at least I've found his stuff quite helpful and interesting in places. He does seem to specialize more in the Ubuntu-based distributions, including Elementary, Ubuntu itself, and Linux Mint. But he's got some helpful tutorials there for anybody who's either starting out or is getting their feet well and truly wet in the Linux world. So I definitely suggest you go and check him out. Now again, I know there's a lot of you out there of Linux YouTubers, and so I want to be able to do this fairly regularly with a random distribution that has been brought to my attention, or a random Linux YouTuber that I've come across as well. So if you have any suggestions of random Linux distributions or Linux YouTubers, then definitely let me know in the comments below or on Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. And thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this new little style of video, and I will see you all again in the very near future. Definitely click the like button if this video helped you out or you enjoyed the content, and subscribe if you like this content on a regular basis. I usually say that the other way around. This time I'll just say, catch you later.